Welcome to the Full-Time FBA Show. In each episode, it's our goal to help you turn part-time hours into a full-time income selling almost anything on Amazon. And now, your hosts of the show, Stephen and Rebecca Smotherman.
Welcome to episode 297 of the Full-Time FBA Show. Today we're talking about why wholesale is the most important sourcing skill to master right now. And to talk through this topic with us is my wife, my business partner, my everything, Rebecca. Rebecca, are you ready to talk about wholesale?
I am. We do this wholesale series a couple of times a year, and it's always really fun to get back to talking about this sourcing method that we use for finding inventory on Amazon. And so I'm ready to get into it today.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about wholesale today. And because if you're just like, I'm going to do wholesale one day, we suggest that day is today, and we'll tell you why in this episode of the Full-Time FBA Show.
Today on the Full-Time FBA Show, we're continuing our conversations focused on wholesale sourcing. And if you're not currently looking for inventory to sell on Amazon via wholesale sourcing yet, we hope that by the end of this episode, you'll see just how important wholesale sourcing is, especially right now as the selling strategies that work on Amazon are starting to shift. We keep our eyes and ears open to all the possible shifts going on in the Amazon reselling world. And if you're wanting to always be in the know about the most recent changes and tweaks that are happening right now, then you really want to be on the Full-Time FBA email newsletter, where we'll keep you up to date with all the strategies that are working right now as an Amazon reseller. We'll also send you a few freebie resources that might help your Amazon business right now. So pause this podcast and head over to fulltimefba.com/subscribe and subscribe today.
So today, like we said before, we're specifically talking about why wholesale is the most important sourcing skill to master, especially right now. I mean, today, don't hear me say that the sourcing skills of retail arbitrage and online arbitrage are not worth mastering. They are, in fact, I believe, part of a well-rounded Amazon business that incorporates retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, and wholesale sourcing so that you can have an Amazon business that is set up for success. But if you had to pick one strategy to focus on mastering first or next, that strategy, if you've already mastered on retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, needs to be wholesale sourcing, to master wholesale sourcing right now.
Yeah, 100%. And there are many reasons why that is true and why we're talking about this topic today on the podcast. So, Stephen, what's the first reason wholesale sourcing is the most important sourcing skill to master right now on Amazon?
3 words: zero product restrictions. I mean, easily the number one roadblock that stops Amazon sellers from finding success when they find a profitable item to resell on Amazon, but they see that they are restricted from selling that item. They try to request approval, but Amazon tells them the only way they can get approved is if they submit either a wholesale invoice from the brand or submit a letter from the brand telling Amazon that you are allowed to sell that item. And so how does an Amazon seller actually get these invoices or letters of approval? They get them via wholesale sourcing. And by landing the wholesale account and getting exactly what they need from the brand, they might be able to get approved. Now, you might be listening to this and you might be thinking, Stephen, you can't just ask a brand for a wholesale account and simply get it. It's not that easy. In fact, it's hard. So what do you have to say about that? I mean, I would say, check your attitude. Secondly, I would say, you are correct. You can't just ask for a wholesale account and get it. And landing wholesale accounts is hard, but it's not impossible. In fact, toward the end of today's episode, we were going to share with you about how you can greatly increase your chances of successfully landing profitable wholesale accounts, so keep listening.
Another reason why wholesale sourcing is the most important skill to master right now is because you can source at the low wholesale prices, and that's sometimes like sourcing at a retail store where everything is at least 50% off, and that's a huge game changer for an Amazon reseller.
Yeah, not only that, but landing a wholesale account could possibly lead to way less competition. I mean, you see, most brands, they don't have Amazon sellers who have wholesale accounts that are selling that brand. Most Amazon sellers are buying via retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, which is good. But if you can land a wholesale account for that brand, then you're going to be able to purchase that brand's items at wholesale prices. And since no other Amazon seller is usually buying that item at wholesale prices like you can, it's a huge advantage for you.
Yeah, you can price your inventory, which you purchased at wholesale prices, at a lower price than your RA or OA competition, and you're still going to make more ROI than your competition, more money, even though you're priced lower. So if you've ever sourced an item via RA or OA, and then you have that annoying competitor who comes in on the listing with 20 items in stock and they're priced way below your price, that's super annoying, but it's probably someone who sourced via wholesale prices, so they can price lower than you and still make way more profits than you on each sale.
Yeah, Rebecca, I remember you and I talking about this years ago before we got into wholesale sourcing, and we were telling each other, like, there's no way this dumb dude is making any money on this item. I mean, I know the price he's buying it for, and he's just going to lose money.
Yeah, and not only that, but this dude could be making way more money if he just would match my current buy box price. Sure, he'll share the buy box with me, but he could still make more money.
Little did we know that this, quote, dumb dude was probably actually a smart Amazon seller, because he's probably buying at wholesale prices and still making money. Us, during the situation, we figured out we're never going to make money selling at these lower prices. And so we just lowered our price to try to break even or maybe even lose money, but at least get some of that capital back to invest in different inventory, because obviously we're never going to make a profit on that original item at that lower price.
Yeah, and meanwhile, once that wholesale sourcing dude noticed his higher price competition finally dropped their prices to sell out, us, the competition in that instance, then he could raise his prices up again and make more profits on the sale because he was okay with raising his price when he didn't have to share the buy box. And we were just so green in our knowledge of selling on Amazon at the time that we never went back and researched that item to see if the price ever recovered again.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line, too many assumptions were hindering us from finding the success that we were looking for. And that's why we record the Full-Time FBA Show podcast for you today, to teach you the lessons that we learned the hard way, so you can learn the lesson, skip the hardship, and find the success with selling on Amazon.
Another reason why wholesale sourcing is the most important skill to master right now is actually because of another bad assumption. Some sellers are afraid right now to try wholesale because of all the tariff stories that they're hearing in the news. And this episode is dropping in June of 2025, and there are many economic uncertainties right now with how international tariffs will impact the world, including the reseller world. And some Amazon sellers simply assume that all wholesale items are imported from overseas and will be subject to big tariffs, and that the wholesale brands will pass those tariffs to us, the buyer. And so that will lead to even wholesale items not being profitable enough to sell on Amazon. And again, this is another assumption that could cause you to miss out on a great opportunity.
Yes, but we're going to get past the assumptions and focus on the truth. Current 2025 tariffs are going to greatly impact any business importing items into the U.S., but there's two things that you need to know. Number one, there are hundreds of thousands of U.S.-based brands that are not going to be impacted by these tariffs directly. You can sell those items via wholesale on Amazon with zero tariff worries. And number two, even items that do have tariffs, that have those international businesses that are raising their prices because of the tariffs, the smart thing for you to do as a reseller is to also raise your prices. Tariffs are something to think about and consider their impact, but tariffs are not like a poison that are going to make the opportunity of selling wholesale items on Amazon die. Like I said before, it's all figure-outable.
Yeah, our two biggest wholesale accounts that we've had for years and that we are currently ordering from on the reg are US based, and they've been awesome and they continue to be awesome. And their prices so far are just not affected by the tariffs at all because everything is US based.
Yep.
So wholesale sourcing is the number one sourcing skill you need to master right now for many great reasons. You get past the annoying product restrictions on Amazon. You get to source at low wholesale prices. You also have way less competition to deal with, and you're going to have higher profits. So the decision to sell wholesale on Amazon is a no-brainer.
Yeah, but learning the tactics to actually successfully land these wholesale accounts is a huge brainer. A huge brainer. Is that a thing?
No, I don't think so, but you like to make up words, huge brainer, figure-outable, whatever. So let's go with it.
Okay, huge brainer. I mean, basically what I mean by that is that the average Amazon seller doesn't know the tactics or the strategies to successfully land a wholesale account. I mean, you might have even tried landing wholesale accounts. You're like, it's impossible. It's definitely not just as simple as reaching out to a brand and asking for a price list. It requires more than that. It requires a huge brain. But the good news is that a program that can download the vital details and give you the help that you need to successfully land wholesale accounts That program is now open, but only for a few days. In the past, the program was called the Wholesale Formula, but that program has been updated and improved and has a new name called the Fast Track Formula because it has updated strategies with wholesale, brand new tools that you can use, a new curriculum that will actually help you fast track your road to success with selling wholesale items on Amazon. And so if you're listening to this before midnight, the evening of June 26th, 2025, then go to fulltimefba.com/formula and you can see all the amazing things that you get with this program if you enroll. Now, on the other hand, if you're listening after June 26th of 2025, you can use that same link, fulltimefba.com/formula, where you can join the wait list to be notified when the program opens up again to the public. But no matter when you're listening, if you're not prioritizing wholesale sourcing into your sourcing arsenal, then it's time to get started. So head over to fulltimefba.com/formula for more information on how you can join the wholesale sourcing party.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Full-Time FBA Show. As always, the show notes and any links we mentioned in this episode can be found at fulltimefba.com/297.
And next week on the show, we're going to be talking about the best way to find and hire a trained virtual assistant to source inventory for you to sell on Amazon. We'll talk about what all that means next week on the Full-Time FBA Show.
That's all for this episode of the Full-Time FBA Show. So head over to fulltimefba.com/podcast, where you'll find the show notes and links from this episode. While you're there, subscribe to our newsletter where you'll get several free downloads of our popular and helpful Amazon FBA resources. Now, take action on what you've learned today so you can find success at turning part-time hours into a full-time income with Amazon FBA.